Welcome to the Horus Heresy. I'm your host, Rob. I want to say a big sorry for not uploading a video for a while. I have been incredibly sick over the Christmas period, and actually before the Christmas period as well. Not something I really want to go into in much detail. I hope that's okay. But the Horus Heresy has been the game that I have been enjoying the most, playing the most, and building the most models for. Painting on my painting desk right now, for instance, all you can see is Horus Heresy models right here. And I played a game of Horus Heresy last night, which is very exciting, as well as having an event next weekend and another event the weekend after for the Horus Heresy. But it's the event that I have coming up next weekend that I want to talk about, because I think that's the one that's super exciting for lots of people who are trying to jump into the Horus Heresy in 2026. So I think this is the best format for playing in 2026, and it mirrors something that we did, or specifically I did, in the Old World. So if you don't know, I also do Old World content on the Square Base show with my friend Val. And on that show last year, we put a 500-point event format out called Foray, and it went gangbusters. Everybody was playing it. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. People were loving it. They were playing it loads. And every event that we did sold out instantly. We ran the events. People were like, I've had a great time. Thank you so much. In fact, actually, at my club last night, there was still just a couple of people who turned up. They just play Foray every week. They're a couple. They play every week. They have a really lovely time and they go home in the evening. You know, and 500 points is pretty easy to put together. So definitely one of the things that we wanted to do, because I have a gaming group, so shout out to Toby and Rebecca and Oscar. I have a gaming group. What we wanted to do was also put on 750-point events for the Horus Heresy, slightly bigger than 500 points, but I'm going to show you some example lists in this video, as well as the pack that we will be running in, a week or less than a week's time. We're running a one-dayer. We're running 4 rounds over the one day, which is super exciting. And because I think Horus Heresy is so big to get into, 3,000 points, crazy to try to build and paint. I'm nearly finished my Imperial Knight Army, which I did over the Christmas period as well. So like while I might not have been making any videos about it, I've been fucking super into the Heresy. Also, maybe a month or two until we do our first Horus Heresy battle report as well, coming soon to the channel. So hopefully you'll be looking forward to that. We just got to get the armies painted up because it's going to take a while. All right, so the event that we have next week is called Squads. That's the name of the event. So it's called Squads, and that's kind of our format for how it works. This is not an advertisement, but if you do want to, so here you can see it here, it's called Squads. The beginning. And Legions is like the name of our 3,000-point format, like game system. I think we have 16 people attending, so I think that's going to be a really good kind of melting pot to kind of work out any kinks in the system. And I'm going to make a video kind of like reviewing the event, and I'll post that up, and then I'll let you know like any problems that we had, like the event pack that we ran for the first Legions event as well, which was great. We've made some amendments there as well, but this is good. So the Squads pack, very exciting. And then we've got one every kind of couple of months for the Horus Heresy. So if you're ever in Nottingham or you're near Nottingham and you want to come to one of our Horus Heresy events, then there's a chance to do so. Anyway, we'll go look at the actual the pack that we have. I'm going to include it in a link down below. But the first things that we need to talk about are the rules changes. These are the same rules changes that we put up in our previous pack for just for generally playing Horus Heresy and the new mission set that we put out, because Line, as we know, and Vanguard don't work overly well. So for Line, there's just a restriction on how many bonus points you can score from it. For Vanguard, just a simple change that Vanguard could be scored against a unit that began that term holding an objective, where if you play it the other way, it really doesn't work very well at all. I know lots of people are going to point out the fact that shooting Vanguard is super effective, but if you just have good terrain and if you just work out how to build boards properly, then none of that really matters, right? Okay, so then we've got list restrictions. Now, this is the important part I think, for running 750 points events. Now, again, there are list restrictions in the 500-point format that we did, and I also, in 3rd edition Age of Sigmar, had a small format AOS system as well. And again, we capped the size of units or how many points you can spend on units. That is the way that you make this game scalable. Whenever you say, I'm going to run a 750 point event, someone's like, well, I'm going to take a 600 point character and 2 dudes. Like, it's just ridiculous. What you really want is to learn how to play the game. And 750 points, I'll show you in some example lists in a moment, will give you all of the tools to learn how to play the game. You can get it done in an hour, maybe an hour and a half. You'll be playing Heresy, so it's not some like bastardized version of Heresy. It's not some weird, unlike it. You're playing the exact rules of Heresy. You're just squinting it down a tiny bit, which is good. Okay, so each army is 750 points. Each individual unit or character has a maximum value of 180 points. So we went through almost every, I think we went through every unit in the game, basically. And we were like, what do we think is too over the top? Like, which units do we think is too over the top? If you take, I don't know, a squad of 5 guys with melter guns, how much does that end up costing? That sort of stuff. We worked it all out and we were like, 180 points feels pretty great. But if you're watching this like, Rob, there's an amazing unit, 180 points, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know about it. That would be cool. We also chose no more than 1 model may be taken with an armor value of 14. Really, this is to do with Solar Auxilia, but also, you know, cults and militia as well, or militia lists. You know, they have access to some pretty cheap vehicles, and I think that they should be allowed to take 1 of them at least. An armor value 14 for Marines. I don't think you can even get anything in at 180 points, so I don't think that really matters. But we all know, or if you've played enough Heresy at the moment, we all know armor value 14 is generally an issue for list writing. If you're writing a list, questions you need to answer: how are you going to deal with their line units, how are you going to pop their vehicles, and how are you going to deal with armor 14 are all like genuine valid questions. How are you going to deal with statuses is also another great one as well. So you know, that's just so that you can have the solar Augs can have something in there that's cool. And then use the standard Crusade Force organization chart. I'll show you my version of the list in a minute. Excluding high command slot. So we just decided to exclude the high command slot because they're just a little bit OTT in some cases. Some of them have got some real strengths, which I just think it would be sensible to just not let someone take anything in the high command slot. So we decided against it. So there you go. And then auxiliaries may be taken as usual. So you can just build your normal detachments as usual. I'll show you in the list examples in a moment. And then 3 non-character units must be taken. This is really to stop hero hammer kind of spam, which like you don't want. No, there is no allies. Someone's just asked that. No allies. There you go. 3 non-character units must be taken. And no allies because it should just be a small kind of interdiction force. It should be a small skirmish force. That's kind of the goal here. Then game restrictions. You only have 1 reaction point. Anyway, these are the list restrictions. Write down in the comments your 750 point lists or your lists that you think are cool or that you can play games with, which is fun. Game restrictions, you can only have 1 reaction point, and any rules that give you 3 reactions may not be used to react multiple times, e.g. solo cohort or command throne. You only have 1 reaction point per turn. Sorry, per turn as the reactive player. Sorry, let's just be more clear. As the reactive player, I love how you're watching this as a video and you're seeing amendments happen live. You have 1 reaction point per turn as the reactive player. Super simple. And that's it. Really easy. I think too many reactions would, again, overload the game. It would be silly. You would have too much kind of back and forth. And then we got the missions. So there are 3 missions, again, included in this PDF. First one is Point Assault. There are 5 objectives on the board. You'll notice after the aggressive and I will say, frankly, hilarious feedback I got from all of the virgins on the last event pack that we posted, where people were incredibly pissed that we put predetermined terrain down. Like, you don't ever have to use a predetermined terrain map, FYI. I find it useful when I'm running an event so that everyone is playing the same game, which I think is really useful. But as you can see, there's no terrain on this one. In about a week's time, there will be some terrain maps, so I'll have both, but there is none on these. This board is also, oh God, the size of the board is, 30 inches by 44 inches. So 30 along the side, 44 along there. That's a smaller format board. Again, I played a couple of games on this board last night. worked perfectly. Some stuff can get really in your face turn 1, which is great. You can get to the objectives in the middle, on turn 1. It's only a 4-turn game. All of it worked really well. Not a drama. Really, really fun. And if you put enough terrain on the board, it can be really hard to just gun each other down turn 1. If you don't, you could just gun each other turn 1 and go home on turn 2. Perfect. Play the game you want to play, right? I don't ever want you to be upset with that. So there are 5 objectives. There's 1 in the middle, 3 in the middle, and then 1 in each person's deployment zone. And for your home objective, it's 2 victory points. And then it's 3 victory points for each neutral objective and a bonus 2 points if you control at least 2. This means that you're really encouraging units to kind of jump in the middle. When I design the terrain map, I'll make it so that it's impossible to go from the central objective straight there. So I'll probably put a building or something in between. That way, units have to kind of scoot around. You can't just like be on your home objective and just be like shooting into the middle, etc. So that bonus bit, 2 more if you control at least 2, means that you kind of always have to try and engage on the middle, but maybe not. Maybe you could try and take the flanks as well. You don't generally have a lot of units at 750 points. This is quite a lot of objectives. And then you get 4 victory points for each enemy objective if 3 and 3 if more if no enemy are within range of the objective. Up here. Now that's quite hard, especially in a 4-turn game. So this point assault, story for the mission. Story for the mission is you're looking for some intel. So you're like cracking open some boxes. So anyone who's playing Arc Raiders, you're looking for some goop. Crack open these boxes, look inside, looking for the intel. That's the mission. Then mission number 2, the idea is that you've got the intel. Now you're dropping it back into these locations. So there are just 3 objectives in the middle, and then it's just 5 VP for each objective. And the special rules are moving intel. At the end of each round, for each objective you control, you may move the objective marker 3 inches in any direction. The objective marker cannot move through any models, cannot end overlapping on any terrain, and be moved off the battlefield. Super easy. And then lastly, confrontation. So this is, you're trying to get their intel too. There are 6 objectives. These are all on your deployment and on their deployment line. And it's 2 VP for each home objective and 4 VP for each enemy objective. So, a good example of how to play this game, played a lot of scenarios like this, is a refused flank. Take these 2 objectives on the left-hand side. Try and take these 2 on the left as well. Don't just clump everything in the middle. That makes it much harder. That's always a good strategy for playing that. And so those are the 3 missions. Super easy. Let's take a moment and look at some example lists. So I ran an AdMech list last night, which is super fun. So I had a Majos with phased plasma fusil, and then I dropped that bad boy, and he was just hanging out with a unit of 2 Castellax, so medium robots, with dartfire cannons. They kind of sat at the back of the board and were just shooting around, but eventually they ended up in combat in the middle of the board and then die. And then I've also got a Tech Priest as well, and a Tech Priest was hanging out with a unit of Thalax running around. So I had 2 units of Thalaxes, 1 unit with 4 photon thrusters and 2 lightning guns, and then another unit with 3 and 3 lightning guns, 3 photon thrusters. I think in the future I'll probably change this around, and I'll probably just have 1 unit with all lightning guns, because they're quite fun for shooting infantry and stuff. And then I had a unit of another 2 Castellax, and they were just basic bitches with Mauler bolt cannons and shock chargers. And they kind of ran on objective, got in a fight. Eventually, they got gunned down by some solar dudes, which was unfortunate. But there you go. And that's it. That's an AdMech list at 750 points. There's loads of other stuff you could do. You could take a ton of tech thralls, which is quite interesting. I quite like that idea. Taking some tech thralls and even resurrecting them feels a little bit more powerful kind of at this points value. But as you know, I'm also painting up a salamander army as well. So I wanted to do a salamander kind of force as well and see what that kind of looked like. I really wanted to run some of the new disintegrator weapons. So I took myself just a regular bitch Legion champion. Then I had a tactical unit, so 12 of them, so they could go in a rhino. Then 2 rhinos with multi-melters, because I was like, I need something to deal with a vehicle, because I don't really have anything to deal with a vehicle. Then I took a Praetorian command squad that could obviously go with my Legion champion, and I just took some combat shields, and I took a couple of power axes and some chain axes because I didn't have any more points, because this unit was 175 points. And then I took some elites, and I took a veteran tactical squad, and that's because I really wanted to take all disintegrator rifles. So that's just because I really wanted to take them as a unit. And obviously because probably there'll be lots of Marines, I was like, well, these guys will shoot at Marines. These guys will go fight Marines. Some dudes will get in some rhinos, and I'll shoot my multi-melters, and the tactical squads will like stand on an objective. So again, pretty basic, really, but you can do some really, really fun stuff with this. Shout out to Pershaw, who did a, I don't know where I've put that. Pershaw, one of our Horus Heresy chatters, showcasing a version of the list that he really likes. So Demons of the Runestorm. So he's taken two Harbingers, 2 units of 10 lesser demons, and 3 Demon Brutes. That's a pretty cheap army to build and paint if that's what you're kind of looking to do. This is a really great format for getting into the Horus Heresy. I am utterly convinced. I was convinced before we played our practice games and before we wrote the pack. I'm even more convinced after having played the practice games. It was fun. It was achievable. I've got to paint 12, 14, no, that's not right. 16, 17 models for my AdMech army. To play it, and maybe it's 19, whatever it is, 19 models for my Marine army. I've got to paint 25-ish models. Very achievable stuff for playing the game, which I know is a huge barrier to loads of different people. And in the old world, I've seen this be so popular. So many people just play foray games, play at their local clubs, start local communities, start local leagues, running foray now. I've had people running events all up and down the country, in other parts of the world now. And I really expect this to be the same with this, because if you want to play the Heresy, like, there are so many barriers, but I think you can convince people to jump in at 750 points and play, which is good. Also forces them to paint rhinos, which is also good as well. Anyway, sorry I've not been here. This will be the beginning of regular Horus Heresy content again. So I expect, if you've got anything that you really want me to cover or do in any detail, please do let me know. And as always, thanks very much for hanging out. I'll see you all soon. And thanks for watching my videos. Bye.